Strange is the best tank in the game and always will be until they touch his shield. Why? Hold your horses. Let's talk about damage. Strange can drop a squishy reliably in about 3 seconds. But did you see that? By weaving in melee attacks, you can sneak in some extra damage and also charge your AoE quicker. Not only that, but if there's nobody in melee range, you can weave your shield in between attacks as well. This not only protects you and your damage downtime, but keeps your teammates somewhat protected too. One final animation to cancel tip, you can speed up your reload by using any ability once the reload bar is half full. But you already knew that. How do you make the best of these abilities and stop dying so much? Well, first off, understand one thing. When you're on full health, you aren't easy to kill. You have a lot of health and can nuke your surroundings every 8 seconds. You can make so much space just by existing because anyone around you effectively has this much less health and they don't even know it. They just feel it after you chunk their health bar. Because of this, people don't really know the danger they're in until they're either dead or easily killable by the rest of your team. This makes you a lethal anti-flank weapon, as most of the time you can just fly over and burst down squishies before they do any damage. What stops you from running through the enemy team like a madman is understanding that tanks are not the kings of this game. The healers are. If you're trying to burst down a squishy and their healers know what you're capable of, you're not going to be able to kill them. But you are capable of putting a lot of pressure on them and possibly forcing them to leave. One neat trick I use a lot is pressuring a DPS into falling back into their healer, then using that opportunity to focus the healer instead. But that's not always going to be the case. A lot of the time, you're going to want to focus the enemy tank, and for a lot of good reasons. Number one, it supercharges your AoE. Because have you seen this game's hitboxes? It's impossible not to hit some of these tanks. More 100 charge AoE blasts, more ult charge, but we'll get to the ult later. And most importantly, because it pressures the healers. Let me tell you a thing or two about healing pressure. In triple healer comps, they're usually riding on the idea that the healers can do some good damage while having a support ult. The problem is, if you're constantly harassing what could be their only tank, they all three instead have to focus on keeping them alive. And now they just don't have the damage necessary to stop your team from walking them down. And this lack of damage is what causes you to be able to focus them in the first place. Because of this, even if you're just idly hitting into their tanks in a team fight, you're actually drawing the complete attention of the enemy team's healers. And if you got a dive hero, now they've got to choose whether to save themselves and let their tanks die, or risk their lives to keep their tanks up, hoping they peel. Fortunately for you, if they peel, you can just keep holding W and bulldoze their team. Alright, let's address the large thin mystical elephant in the room. Strange does a lot of damage, but he only has 600 health. He's not got the survivability of that. Strange has an 800 health shield. 800 is a lot. You will almost always have some health on this thing, but allow me to explain why this thing has so much value in the first place. When you're walking into the enemy team, they can easily burst you down if you're not paying attention. But the simple combo of holding S and pulling out your shield gives your healers more than enough time to not only heal you, but give you an entire fresh new health bar to go out there and do the same shit again, until everyone is dead. You can alleviate a lot of pressure on your healers by just letting them have more time to heal you. Side note, if you're running Gamma Power or any other frontline tank, you can also do the same thing to help them disengage. Gotta talk about this real quick. Not to mention, this shield can block just about anything that isn't considered melee or comes from the ground. Here's a list of things that I didn't know couldn't be blocked with a shield, but other than that, he's completely immune as long as you shield where it impacts and position yourself properly. Maximum pulls to almost all of Hell's ult, Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch, Namor, Magneto, all ults that can easily change the game. And just as easy as they do when they work, they change the game similarly when you stop them. And the most game-changing of them all, Eye of Agamotto. For the most part, you want to hit the squishies with this. Of course, using it on tanks will for sure cause some healing pressure, but for the most part, if you have any semblance of team support and you hit a healer with it, they're dead. And if you can kill a healer, you've almost won the push already. Solo ulting a healer is totally understandable, because if you can safely get rid of one healer, putting pressure on a tank becomes so much easier, and their health will for sure start to dwindle while taking 100% of the support's resources. It was a joke in Overwatch to do it, but this game's better. Don't compare them. It's an insult to my beautiful Chinese developers. In the Strange Ditto, you always want to be in front of them if you suspect they have their ult. If you've got 80% or more, start expecting to hear them ult. You are always going to be the first line of defense, so letting their Strange get by you and your shield is almost a complete death sentence. Of course, if this happens, you can always try and pull out your shield, but not only does this keep you vulnerable, you can't get healed, and this weakens your shield. Bars. This will only work if the enemy Strange has absolutely no support when he ults. Prioritize keeping them from getting stunned rather than protecting them after they've been stunned. Similarly, if you have your ult and you're being healed consistently, it's not necessarily a bad idea to walk past the enemy Strange and into their healers. Just make sure they don't have any abilities to stop you. It's also pretty important to get a hang of the spacing on Strange's whip. because hitting the enemy Strange through their shield while not getting hit yourself is the bread and butter of winning the Ditto. The more charge you have, the more damage, the more picks, the more ult charge, the more ults, the more killed healers, the more pushes won, the more games won, the higher your rank. Do you see? Also, if you're gonna focus the tanks or happen to be hitting the majority of your shots and whips, make sure you don't get to 100 charge while your burst is on cooldown. Yeah, that can happen. That's all of my knowledge. Go forth and serve the world in strangitude. Goodbye.